a WikiVidi documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Chris Cornell. Chris Cornell was an American musician, singer, and songwriter. He was best known as the lead vocalist for the rock band Soundgarden and Audioslave. Cornell was also known for his numerous solo works and soundtrack contributions since 1991, and as the founder and frontman for Temple of the Dog, the one-off tribute band dedicated to his late friend Andrew Wood. Cornell is considered one of the chief architects of the 1990s grunge movement, and is well known for his extensive catalog as a songwriter. His nearly four-octave vocal range, and his powerful vocal belting technique. He released 4 solo studio albums: Euphoria Morning, Carry On, Scream, Higher Truth, and the live album Songbook. Cornell received a Golden Globe Award nomination for his song, The Keeper, which appeared in the 2011 film Machine Gun Preacher, and co-wrote and performed the theme song to the James Bond film Casino Royale, You Know My Name. His last solo release before his death was the charity single, The Promise, written for the ending credits for the film of the same name. He was voted rock's greatest singer by readers of Guitar World, ranked 4th in the list of heavy metal's all-time top 100 vocalists by Hit Parader, 9th in the list of best lead singers of all time by Rolling Stone, and 12th in MTV's 22 Greatest Voices in Music. Across his entire catalog, Cornell has sold 14.8 million albums, 8.8 million digital songs, and 300 million on-demand audio streams in the US alone, as well as over 30 million records worldwide. He was nominated for 15 Grammy Awards, and won twice. Cornell struggled with depression for much of his life. He was found dead in his Detroit hotel room early on the morning of May 18, 2017, after performing at a Soundgarden concert an hour earlier. His death was ruled suicide by hanging. Early life. Cornell was born Christopher John Boyle on July 20, 1964, in Seattle, Washington, where he was raised. His parents are Edward F. Boyle, a pharmacist of Irish Catholic background, and Karen Cornell, an accountant and psychic of Jewish background. Cornell described both of his parents as alcoholics. Cornell was the middle child of 6 children. He had 2 older brothers and 3 younger sisters. He attended Christ the King Catholic Elementary School, where he performed for the first time in front of a crowd, singing the 1960s anti-war song, One Tin Soldier. He later attended Shorewood High School. When he was in 7th grade, his mother pulled him and his sister out of Catholic school. Cornell claimed, because they were about to be expelled for being too inquisitive. Cornell recalled the episode in a 1994 interview. With a religion like that, it's not designed for anyone to question. Being young people who have a natural curiosity and half a brain, you're going to start finding inconsistencies, which there are tons of in organized religion. We both sort of made it clear in classroom situations that we didn't get it. Explain this to me. And they couldn't, so we started creating a lot of problems. Cornell traced his musical influences back to Little Richard via the Beatles. He spent a 2-year period between the ages of 9 and 11 solidly listening to the Beatles after finding a large collection of Beatles records abandoned in the basement of a neighbor's house. He described himself, at this age, as a loner. He was able to deal with his anxiety around other people through rock music. During his teenage years, he spiraled into severe depression, dropped out of school, and almost never left the house. At the age of 12, he had access to alcohol, marijuana, acid, mushrooms and prescription drugs and used them daily. By 13, stopped for a year, but relapsed at age 15 for another year until he turned to music. Cornell took piano and guitar lessons as a child. He once explained that his mother saved his life when she bought him a snare drum, the instrument he adopted in beginning his path to become a rock musician. Before becoming a successful musician, he worked as a busboy, as a dishwasher, as a fish handler at a seafood wholesaler, and was a sous chef at Ray's Boathouse in Seattle. In the early 1980s, Cornell was a member of a cover band called The Shemps, which featured bassist Hiro Yamamoto and performed around Seattle. After Yamamoto left The Shemps, the band recruited guitarist Kim Thayil. Cornell and Yamamoto stayed in contact, and after the Shemps broke up, the pair started jamming together, eventually bringing Thayil in to join them. 1984, 1997 and 2010, 2017. Soundgarden. Soundgarden was formed in 1984 by Cornell, Thiel and Yamamoto, with Cornell originally on drums and vocals. In 1985, the band enlisted Scott Sundquist as the drummer to allow Cornell to concentrate on vocals. The band's first recordings were 3 songs that appeared on a compilation for CZ Records called Deep Six. In 1986, Sundquist, who, by that point had a wife and a child, decided to leave the band and spend time with his family. He was replaced by Matt Cameron, the drummer for Skin Yard, who became Soundgarden's permanent drummer. Soundgarden signed to Sub Pop, releasing the Screaming Life EP in 1987 and the Fop EP in 1988. Though the band was being courted by major labels, they signed to independent label SSD Records in 1988 to release their debut album, Ultra Mega OK, for which they earned a Grammy Award nomination for Best Metal Performance in 1990. The band subsequently signed with A&M Records, becoming the first grunge band to sign to a major label. In 1989, the band released their second effort and their first album for a major label, Louder Than Love. Following the album's release, Yamamoto left the band to finish his master's degree in physical chemistry at Western Washington University. He was replaced by former Nirvana guitarist Jason Everman. Everman was fired following Soundgarden's tour supporting Louder Than Love. In 1990, the band was joined by a new bassist, Ben Shepherd. Along with Nirvana, Alice in Chains, and Pearl Jam, Soundgarden quickly became one of the most successful bands from Seattle's emerging grunge scene in the early 1990s. With Shepherd, the new lineup recorded Bad Motor Finger in 1991. The album brought the band to a new level of commercial success, and Soundgarden found itself amidst the sudden popularity and attention given to the Seattle music scene. Bad Motor Finger included the singles Jesus Christ Pose, Outshined, and Rusty Cage. The 3 singles gained considerable airtime on alternative rock radio stations, while the videos for Outshined and Rusty Cage gained considerable airtime on MTV. The song, Jesus Christ Pose, and its music video was the subject of widespread controversy in 1991, and the video was removed from MTV's playlist. Rusty Cage was later covered by Johnny Cash on his 1996 album, Unchained. It also appeared on the fictional radio station Radio X in the 2004 video game Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and in the 32-bit version of Road Rash. Room 1,000 Years Wide was released as a 7-single through Sub Pop's Single of the Month Club a full year before the release of Bad Motor Finger, and later re-recorded for the album. Bad Motor Finger exposed Soundgarden to its first mainstream success. It was nominated for a Grammy Award for Best Metal Performance in 1992, and was later ranked number 45 in the October 2006 issue of Guitar World on the magazine's list of the 100 greatest guitar albums of all time. The band's 4th studio album, 1994's Super Unknown, proved to be the band's breakthrough album. Upon its release in March 1994, Super Unknown debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200. The album launched several successful singles, including Spoonman and Black Hole Sun, and brought Soundgarden international recognition. Super Unknown achieved quintuple platinum status in the United States, triple platinum status in Canada, and gold status in the United Kingdom, Sweden, and the Netherlands. Rolling Stone gave Super Unknown 4 out of 5 stars. Reviewer J.D. Considine said Super Unknown demonstrates far greater range than many bands manage in an entire career. Considine criticized Black Hole Sun and Half, stating that the former is not a very good song, while the latter is the virtual definition of a B-side. John Perales of the New York Times said that Super Unknown actually tries to broaden its audience by breaking heavy metal genre barriers that Soundgarden used to accept. He added that Soundgarden want something different from standard heavy metal. David Brown of Entertainment Weekly gave the album an A, saying, "Soundgarden is pumped and primed on Super Unknown, and they deliver the goods." He praised it as a hard rock milestone, a boiling vat of volcanic power, record-making smarts, and 90s anime and anxiety that sets a new standard for anything called metal. The album was nominated for the Grammy Award for Best Rock Album in 1995. Two singles from Super Unknown, Black Hole Sun and Spoonman, won Grammy Awards, and the music video for Black Hole Sun won a MTV Video Music Award and a Clio Award. Super Unknown was ranked number 336 on Rolling Stone magazine's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time, and Black Hole Sun was ranked number 25 on VH1's list of the 100 greatest songs of the 90s. The band's fifth album was 1996's self-produced Down on the Upside. The album spawned several singles, including Pretty Noose, Burden in My Hand, and Blow Up the Outside World. The album was notably less heavy than the group's preceding albums, and marked a further departure from the band's grunge roots. Soundgarden explained at the time that it wanted to experiment with other sounds. David Brown of Entertainment Weekly said, "Few bands since Led Zeppelin have so crisply mixed instruments, both acoustic and electric." However, tensions within the group arose during the sessions, with Thayil and Cornell reportedly clashing over Cornell's desire to shift away from the heavy guitar riffing that had become the band's trademark. Despite favorable reviews, the album did not match the sales of Super Unknown. In 1997, Soundgarden received another Grammy nomination for the lead single, Pretty Noose, as tensions grew within the band, reportedly due to internal strife over its creative direction. Soundgarden announced it was disbanding on April 9, 1997. In a 1998 interview, Thayil said, "It was pretty obvious from everybody's general attitude over the course of the previous half year that there was some dissatisfaction." On January 1, 2010, Cornell alluded to a Soundgarden reunion via his Twitter account, writing, "The 12-year break is over and school is back in session. Sign up now. Knights of the Sound Table ride again." The message linked to a website that featured a picture of the group performing live and a place for fans to enter their email address to get updates on the reunion. Entering that information unlocked an archival video for the song, Get on the Snake, from Soundgarden's second studio album, 1989's Louder Than Love. In April 2010, Soundgarden announced their plans to headline Lollapalooza 2010. Soundgarden made the announcement through their website and email list. On April 16, 2010, Soundgarden held a secret show at the Showbox Theater on First Avenue in downtown Seattle, publicized via the band's mailing list. The show was billed as Nude Dragons, an anagram for Soundgarden. Asked in August 2010 if Soundgarden will record new material, Cornell replied, "It would be exciting to record one song. To hear how Soundgarden-ish that might be this much time later. But for me, it's been more of a trip relearning the songs and playing them together. Some of the songs we're approaching we've never played live." Soundgarden made their first television appearance since their reunion on Conan O'Brien's second episode of Conan on November 9, 2010 on TBS, and toured North America in summer 2011. In summer 2012, Soundgarden released a new single and video, Live to Rise, for the Avengers movie soundtrack. Their sixth album, King Animal, was released in November 2012 to largely positive reviews. Soundgarden had continued to tour worldwide, and guitarist Kim Thayil mentioned in several interviews that the band was to begin work on material for their seventh album. 1998, 2000 and 2006, 2017, solo career. In 1998, Cornell began working on material for a solo album on which he collaborated with Alan Johannes and Natasha Schneider of the band 11. The album, titled Euphoria Morning, was released on September 21, 1999. In his first ever solo tour, Cornell spent 7 months on the road, from September 13, 1999 to March 7, 2000, playing 61 shows in support of Euphoria Morning. Cornell performed 2 of those coinciding with the debut of the album on September 21 and 22, 1999 at the Henry Fonda Theater in Hollywood, California. Attendance for the shows were high, considering he performed the initial shows before fans were even familiar with the music. The touring band was made up of some of the contributing musicians Alan Johannes, Natasha Schneider, Rick Markman, and Greg Upchurch. The album proved commercially unsuccessful, selling 393,000 copies in the US, although the album's single, Can't Change Me, was nominated for Best Male Rock Vocal Performance at the 2000 Grammy Awards. Cornell recorded a version of Can't Change Me in French. This version is a bonus on Euphoria Morning's deluxe version. The album includes Wave Goodbye, Cornell's tribute to his late friend Jeff Buckley. It has been noted that Euphoria Morning is influenced by Buckley's songwriting and distinctive vocal style. The album was re-released in 2015 on CD and vinyl and retitled Euphoria Morning, with Cornell stating in the press release that he had originally intended the album to be called that. But his manager at the time, Jim Garinet, suggested that Euphoria Morning, without the "U," would be a better title. The title was so beautifully poetic to begin with, just the concept of euphoria in morning. It was a moment I felt inspired, and I let all the air out of it. So when we decided to do its first vinyl release, I thought, I want to change the fucking title. Laughs. It's time to change it, Cornell stated. An unreleased song called Heart of Honey was also recorded in collaboration with Johannes and Schneider during this period. According to Alan Johannes, Heart of Honey was recorded for the film Titan A but not used. The song leaked on the internet. While on his solo tours between 2011-2016, Cornell would often pay tribute to the late Natasha Schneider and play the song When I'm Down, accompanied by a vinyl recording of the original piano track that Schneider performed for the song. Though not officially released onto CD, an hour-long acoustic concert Cornell performed on September 7, 2006 at Operan in Stockholm is widely available for download under the title Chris Cornell, Unplugged in Sweden. A promotional CD for his solo album, Carry On, was released in March 2007, titled The Roads We Choose: A Retrospective. The 17-song CD included songs from Soundgarden, Temple of the Dog, Audioslave and Cornell's solo work. On June 5, 2007, Cornell released his second solo album, Carry On, produced by Steve Lillywhite. It debuted at number 17 on the American Billboard charts. Among the artists who accompanied him on his second solo release was friend Gary Lucas, who contributed acoustic guitar to some of the tracks. Cornell has stated that he is always writing, and that there are some songs that he was not able to put onto an Audioslave album. While recording his second solo album, Cornell was involved in a motorcycle accident. He was apparently rear-ended by a truck in Studio City, Los Angeles while riding his motorcycle, and catapulted 20 feet into the air. He was able to walk away from the accident, but had severe cuts and bruises. He returned to the studio later that day. In 2007, Cornell appeared as support to Aerosmith on at least 2 legs of their 2007 World Tour, Dublin, London, and Hyde Park, and to Linkin Park in Australia and New Zealand. These shows formed part of his own ongoing world tour, which began in April 2007 and continued into 2008 and 2009. Cornell has described his touring band, comprising guitarists Yogi Lonick and P2 Thorne, bassist Corey McCormick, and drummer Jason Sutter, as musicians that could get the whole picture, playing music by Soundgarden and Audioslave, as well as his solo material. In 2008, Cornell was featured on the main stage of Linkin Park's Project Revolution tour. Throughout the tour, Cornell collaborated with Linkin Park's Chester Bennington while performing Hunger Strike and with Street Drum Corps for a number of his Soundgarden tracks. While Linkin Park would perform their Grammy-winning song, Crawling, he would appear on stage singing the second verse of the song, the outro, and harmonies Aaron Lewis provided for the Reanimation version. Cornell worked with producer Timbaland on his studio album Scream, which was released on March 10, 2009. Timbaland has referred to the recording sessions as the best work I've done in my career, and predicted that Cornell will be the first rock star in the club. Cornell called the new album a highlight of my career. The album was largely panned by critics, but it was the highest charting album of Cornell's solo career, reaching number 10 on the Billboard 200. On April 2, 2009, Cornell took over Atlanta rock station, Project 961, WKLS. For 24 hours the station became Chris FM, and included a 2-hour special of Cornell DJing and playing his favorite songs of his career with the stories behind them, leading up to a rebroadcast of his solo show from the previous night. On September 11, 2009, Cornell performed John Lennon's Imagine, on The Tonight Show with Conan O'Brien. In January 2011, Cornell announced his solo acoustic, Songbook, tour, continuing a series of acclaimed solo acoustic shows in Los Angeles during 2009 and 2010. The first leg of the sold-out tour began on April 1, 2011 and continued through the US and Canada until May 6, resuming in October, and visiting New Zealand, Australia, South America and the US again before ending on December 17. The tour received universally positive reviews. In November 2011, Cornell released Songbook, an acoustic live album featuring songs recorded during Cornell's Songbook tour in North America. It was his first live album as a solo artist and includes stripped-down solo performances of songs from Cornell's whole career as a solo artist, as well as with Soundgarden, Audioslave, and Temple of the Dog, plus covers of Led Zeppelin's Thank You and John Lennon's Imagine. The album received largely positive reviews, with AllMusic calling it Cornell's best solo offering to date. Cornell continued his Songbook tour in Europe and the US during 2012 and 2013 to further acclaim. Cornell performed a 10-minute acoustic set at the Commander-in-Chief's Ball in the White House on January 21, 2013, which recognized Medal of Honor recipients and wounded warriors. He returned later in the evening with Soundgarden to perform at Barack Obama's inaugural ball, doing a 3-song set at the event. In January 2015, Cornell announced via his Twitter account that he was in the studio recording a new solo album. Cornell's last studio album, Higher Truth, was released on September 18, 2015. The last solo release prior to his death was the charity single, The Promise, written for the ending credits for the movie of the same name about the Armenian genocide. Prior to his death, Cornell committed all proceeds from the song to support refugees and vulnerable children. On February 26, 2018, Cornell's first posthumous song was released. Cornell composed the music and added lyrics to Johnny Cash's poems, You Never Knew My Mind, and I Never Knew Your Mind. The song, titled You Never Knew My Mind, is featured on the album Johnny Cash, Forever Words, a collection of songs created from Cash's unused poetry, lyrics and letters interpreted by several artists. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?